Hey guys, it's Josh and welcome to Let's Talk About, the series in which I talk about the things that are flying through my head. Now this was going to be an episode about Thorpe Park, but as there wasn't much interest in the previous episode, I thought, I'll switch it up a bit and talk about something I still want to talk about, but something that's maybe a bit different. Before I get started on that, this is in fact the first video on my new computer because my old one suddenly packed up, so I had to get a new one. So, if you feel the editing's better or something like that, let me know. I'd be interested to know. Anyway, getting on with the video. So, eBay. Now, eBay is I call it a sort of user selling website where pretty much anyone, after paying that's Amazon, I think. Anyone can list things on there to sell, and there's a commission taken off the final sale price. So say I sold these headphones, which I wouldn't do because I use them. Say I sold these headphones for, 15 quid and charged 5 quid postage. So my profit wouldn't be 10 quid because like it would be if I paid for somewhere like Amazon. Well, it wouldn't be anyway, but my profit wouldn't be 10 quid because I'd have the commission taken off. So it'd be like 10 or 15%. So it would be something like, I'm not quite sure of the math specifically, but something like £8.50, somewhere in the region of that. So they take a commission off it, and that's how they can allow it to be a free website, but still, of course, make money themselves, pay for the servers, the hosting, etc. And I think that's a good business model. It makes sense. It removes the cost for the consumer while still allowing them to make money. I think it's a bit of a win-win, really. Yes, you make less money, but you'd make less money on any other website anyway because you'd have to pay the fee for it. So I think it's a great system. But the one big problem, well, there's a few big problems it has, but I'd say its biggest problem is that it's very vulnerable to scams. You see, eBay almost works like an online franchise. They don't really vet the individual listings that much. It can be literally anyone who puts something on there, even if you've got a criminal record for stealing and stuff like that. And so it's absolutely riddled with scams. And I've even fell victim to one of them once. But yeah, if you don't do your due diligence, and even if you do sometimes, you can still get scammed on eBay. And that is a big problem. I was scammed once. Well, I think my dad bought it actually, not me. But they were partly for me. A pack of styluses, I think for about 5 or 6 quid. Including postage. From China, like Beijing or somewhere. Ordered them. Never turned up. Even ages later. And to this day they still haven't turned up. So I know they're not going to turn up. And that's 5 or 6 quid down the drain. Which it isn't a lot. But bearing in mind there's some things on eBay that cost, over £1,000, it could be the over £1,000 thing that's the scam, not the 5 or 6 quid thing. And that's the thing, that they do need to improve their vetting systems, because 5 or 6 quid, to most people, including myself, it's a bit of an annoyance, but, in the end of the day, it's not really too much of an issue. But 500 or 600 quid, well, you're talking a bit different there, because that is a fair chunk to completely lose and not get anything out of. That's a fair chunk. So yeah, they do need to really solve that problem and vet it properly. Like Amazon, they vet it, so scams are quite restricted. They're not very prevalent at all on Amazon because of their vetting system and the effectiveness of this vetting system. So if they had a vetting system, they would greatly improve things. But another thing, aside from scamming, overpriced reselling. Now, I'm sure you're aware the PS5 was released fairly recently. I want to say about 5 or 6 months ago now. And sold out instantly. Very popular. I think it was the most popular games console at first sale ever. Well, upon release, I mean. I think it was the most popular games console upon release ever. And they sold like hotcakes. Got, I think, 100,000 in stock, and it sold out within like 40 minutes or something ridiculous. Bearing in mind these consoles are like 700 quid. There's not a concert ticket that sells out instantly that's like 70, 80 quid. No, 700 quid console, just boom, boom, boom. So they really did sell very quickly. And that meant that there was a massive resale market, because what would happen? People would buy them, but because, I mean, Sony didn't expect people to buy them in bulk. Why would you? It's a 700 quid console. Logically, no one's going to do that unless you recognise that they're so popular that you're going to make a quick buck from resale when they inevitably sell out. And that's what happened, is some people bought them in bulk and kept one for themselves and sold 3 or 4 more on places like eBay. But because the demand was so high, they were able to sell it for, instead of like £600 or £700, which was the actual retail price of it, they were able to sell it for over £1,000, sometimes even over £2,000 on some of the days when it was really, really out of stock. And some people paying over £1,000 for a games console that, even in its current state, brand new, is only worth about £500 or £600, and after usage would probably only be worth a few hundred quid. I mean, the good thing about games consoles is they tend to hold their value quite well. My games console is still worth about 100 quid, and it cost about 250 when I got it. So, you know, if I wanted to sell it now, it's still got some value left in it. Whereas if you pay well over the price that it should be, then you're instantly just making a huge loss. So they need to stop scams, but they also need to stop overpriced reselling, because it's completely unfair on people who just, you know, miss out. You know, what if someone wants to buy a PS4 but PS5 but they're at work, and so they miss out on the original sale? Then why should they then have to pay triple the price because some twat has hoovered them up? I mean, I wouldn't buy a PS5 anyway because I prefer Xbox. But if I was in that position, I would be mightily pissed off if the only console I could get, the only PS5 I could get, is one that's £1,500 rather than £600 or £700. In fact, I probably wouldn't get it. I'd be like, fuck this. But I do think that they should not allow this to happen, because some people who are a bit naive may buy it and think, you know, who cares? But they just unknowingly shove their money down the toilet. They may as well have just burnt it, really, because you're never going to get their money back, and the depreciation is already hugely more because you paid way over the odds for it. So they do need to stop overpriced reselling, because it just is a pain in the backside. It's unfair on people, and it just takes advantage of an unfortunate situation. And also, surely there must be some sort of laws that prohibits things being sold too much over the odds. Like, if someone wanted to sell a PS5 for 100,000, surely that wouldn't be legal, because that's like, well, that's the price of a Porsche. I don't think anyone would buy it anyway, but can you imagine seeing a PS5 for the same price as a Porsche? And a Porsche, you'll probably get far more years out of it than a console. I can probably guarantee you that. So it is ridiculous, and they do need to stop it. And misleading listings. Now, this is the worst thing, because even if you do due diligence, know it could, and avoid the scams, avoid overpriced reselling, even if you do all of that and everything looks legit and appears legit, it could be a completely misleading listing. You could buy the product and it's not as it seems. For example, I'll use this computer as an example, actually. This isn't an example of one, but I'm just, using it for example. So, this ThinkPad T440p laptop is sold as having the extended slab battery. Now, that makes a big difference, because that's an accessory that costs about 50 or 60 quid. So, it's a nice bonus to have. Now, this obviously doesn't have it. But if it was listed as having the slab battery and it came like this, that's a misleading listing, because you now actually have to pay the 50 or 60 quid for that accessory, which you thought was included in the price. So, misleading listings are a bit of a problem. And it's not even that minor. You can have things like, it says it's a 14-inch screen. Well, this one is a 14-inch screen. But it's actually a 10-inch screen. And for someone like myself who does a lot of video editing, there is a huge difference between a 10-inch and a 14-inch screen. Like, it's the difference between being able to display your editing software or audio editing software properly on the screen compared to not being able to display it properly and the icons are all compacted and it's just unworkable. And that is a big problem if that is not as it seems there. And it can affect anyone. Like, the most major thing you normally find actually is the processor. So this has got an Intel Inside Core i7. Now, it could be sold as having that when it actually just has an i5. That is a big problem because i7 is professional standard video editing. I could use this for corporate videos doing things like that. However, if it was i5, that is consumer standard, which means that you can do some editing on it, but you're going to struggle and it's going to lag. It's going to be a pain in the backside and it's going to be very slow. And there is a big difference there because you could have even shelled out the extra money to get the i7 for it to only be an i5. So a misleading listing is a real problem. And I'd say almost the same amount of an issue as the other two problems. So eBay is a good website. I think it's got a good business model. I just think it needs improvement with its vetting and stopping these core issues. And once it's done that, then it's a good website and it will really compete with Amazon, because this sort of taints eBay's reputation, I think. I'm put off eBay because of these three things, and I think I'd rather not take the risk and I'd rather just pay a bit more and go on somewhere like Amazon. So if they fix these three things, it would be a fantastic website for its purpose. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and click on the playlist in the corner to watch more. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.